Hey everyone, it's Abby, your Everyday Mermaid, and this is
Lauren,
my Mergal pal, and you're listening to the Everyday Mermaid podcast. We are sharing the ins and outs.
You mean fins and outs.
Ooh, of being a mermaid.
We bring you the latest news, interviews with celebrities, and of course,
a hashtag Jody moment for our girl Jody Benson, the voice of the Little Mermaid.
Let's dive in to the Everyday Mermaid podcast.
All my mermaids. Hey everybody, this is Abby, your Everyday Mermaid, and this is
Lauren,
my Mergal pal, and this is
Chelsea
and Lauren, also Lauren.
We got two Laurens over
That's
here.
true.
And Chelsea and Lauren are with the Miss Mermaid USA pageant.
Now tell us like your official titles. Official.
So we're the national co-directors for Miss Mermaid USA, which is part of Miss Mermaid International. And we both participated in Miss Mermaid International 2016, where we were Miss USA's. And then Chelsea also went back again in 2017. And we just want to share this with all the other mermaids because it was so much fun.
Yes. So Lauren and I actually know a little bit about the Miss Mermaid USA whole thing because our pod, Nashville Mermaid Pod, we have the reigning Miss Mermaid Tennessee, Miss Phelan. So we have been like it's been really fun to watch her. And in most of our pod meetups, she would always bring her sash, and we'd make sure to get photos of her with the pod as, her Miss Mermaid Tennessee,
Oh, yes. Got to show off the sash.
Yes, girls. Yes.
When it's proud.
Yes, she has been just a great representation of the mermaid community in general. And so I think y'all have a golden goldfish.
You chose quite wisely.
Yes.
Yeah, we're so lucky that we had so many great mermaids apply, even though it was only our first year and we didn't have that much visibility. And we're just looking forward to growing this with the help of Mermagicon. And thank you guys for putting the word out there too. It's really a fabulous opportunity for mermaids to get their mission out there in the world.
Definitely.
Yes. Shout out to all our current mermaids. We love you guys.
So let's talk about Mermagicon for a little bit, because this was a big announcement that y'all made, that Mermagicon will be hosting the live Miss Mermaid USA competition, correct?
Yeah, this is our first time doing a live event where we get to do all the actual competitions, swimming in the pool, doing the stage pageantry. Last year was just online. And so we're really excited that they came to us and we're like, we want to host you guys. We want to get this going.
Totally. Yeah, and it's really cool. And we love Mermagicon.
Yeah.
And the Circus Siren Pod in general. And what's cool about this specific episode, friends, if you were listening, we have our Circus Siren Pod calendar here. And we actually have an extra one of these to give away, which we will tell you how to win at the end of this episode.
Ooh, way to break in the new year with a new calendar.
Yes. All the beautiful moments.
So this is going to be a really big difference for you guys, considering that the coronavirus has trumped your 2020 year. What do you think like the biggest differences between like a live competition and just an online competition are going to be?
Well, it's just so cool that we're going to get to meet everyone in person and just have fun. This is really just so much fun to do. And I was never really in pageants before this either. So but I had a little understanding. My roommate was in the Miss New York system, and people have judgments about pageant girls sometimes, but really everyone I've met in the pageant system is so amazingly like strong women, and just to be able to be around other women like that and get inspired, it makes all the difference. I mean, we love seeing all our mermaids on Instagram and on the videos, but really that's what Mermagicon's about, is bringing the community together, right?
Absolutely. And what's interesting, so I competed in the Miss America system, as well as my sister. We're both from Louisiana. It's what Southern girls do.
Don't point at me. Right. I don't know anything about it.
It's what Southern girls do.
Good girl.
Yeah. And so a lot of people I have found through that experience, so many people have these perspectives, these stigmas that they attach to the pageant world. That's just not true.
I'm so confused by that, because isn't that the point of Miss Congeniality? That whole movie like showcases how wonderful they are.
Yeah,
we
there's
really
none
do
of
want
that
to please.
competitive bitchiness that it's not like a Mean Girls high school drama.
Yeah.
Everyone's so supportive, and it's, of course we're all there trying to do our best, but
Right.
we're encouraging others how to do their best. I've had, girls teaching me how to do a catwalk, and I'll teach someone else how to snorkel for the first time in a live saltwater reef. It's great.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not what people think it is. And especially the Miss Mermaid pageant, because I feel like a lot of people automatically, it's like we're in swimsuits and evening gowns. But that's not what Miss Mermaid USA is about. So tell us kind of, the different aspects like competition and everything that goes into the judging process. Just tell us a little bit more about the pageant and its various little pieces that
Tentacles.
go. Tentacles. Yes, there we go. Tell us all about that.
Yeah, so it's really cool because there's actual mermaid skills are part of the judging system, and it's actually a very fair system when we're in international, and we try to replicate this in what we're doing in the US, is that it's a point system out of 100 points. And so it's, there's some parts that are objective, but for example, the long distance swim, which is our free diving competition, because we can't really have everyone doing the deep free dives. That's a little risky. So we just do horizontally in the pool. How far can you go in one breath in a monofin?
Okay.
And that one's very, it's very objective. And then we have underwater posing, where you take one breath and dive down and do your stuff for the judges underwater. And then you have the pageantry stuff. You have creativity. You design your own mermaid accessories. You do your own hair and makeup, and you do a photo shoot for that. And then there's the pageantry stuff, which at international, there's evening gown, and there's national costume, and there is swimsuit in the international, but we're not having that. We're just doing evening gown and interviews at nationals.
Okay,
and
great.
Chelsea, do you want to talk a little bit more about, because you've been to 2 internationals too, so the talent show and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as any pageant, grows over time. So there might be a little bit of differences that vary from year to year with rules, but in general, the main core things will remain the same. So in terms of the talent show, that is something that one of my hesitations with getting involved in a pageant was, oh my gosh, what would I do for my talent? Being that it's an on-stage talent, because so many of my talents I feel are difficult to perform on a stage, even though I enjoy being on a stage and dancing and things, but I wasn't sure what to put together for an actual talent. And one thing that really took the pressure off that was different about Miss Mermaid International was the talent portion was separate. So it did not deduct or affect, your standing and getting Miss Mermaid International and winning the grand title. It was almost like a separate sash that you could win for the talent. And you could also perform with other mermaids. So if you wanted, you could do it by yourself. If you wanted to have one or two other mermaids that from other countries, if you wanted to collaborate and practice while you're because it's a 2-week experience when you're over during their international pageant. So you can kind of get together with a couple other mermaids and practice and come up with your talent and perform it together if you choose. So it is something that needs to be performed on a stage. So if sending a videotape or something like that in of you doing something spectacular is awesome. But unfortunately, right now, that would not be accepted as a form of talent on there. They ask for you to provide what song you want your talent to be to, whatever, audio on like an MP3, or, they play that for you and help you.
Yeah, but for Miss Mermaid USA, we just ask people to list their talent. We think mermaiding is enough. And that's less of a part of our application. But I know there was some people had a question about how the talent show part works. So
yes, for sure.
So I guess the answer to that is there's not a talent show portion at Mermagicon.
Not at Mermagicon, though. We are exploring the option of, we've talked a little bit about, well, if somebody wanted to volunteer to do some entertainment during the gala, we've kind of tossed that idea around. Maybe that'll happen. Maybe we'll save that for next year.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
So before they even get to Mermagicon, what has to happen as far as them submitting applications? Who's eligible? What are the rules? Who can apply to be Miss Mermaid, Tennessee, Louisiana? Who can apply?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's one good thing about this pageant is that it is actually really inclusive. I know we've had a few mermaids be upset about there is an age limit, and I hope people can understand that this was started by people in the pageant world, and so that's a very much established part of that system.
And
So
it's
right now,
35, right?
the age limit is 18 to 36.
36, okay. And I will just say from a regular pageant standpoint, that's real generous.
Yeah, I mean, the big pageants, it's 24 to 28.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, and there's even been really nasty incidences where a queen won, but then she had her crown taken away because the national pageant found out, and her birthday was past the due point. And the end of our flex age limit is pretty flexible in terms of we don't care when you turn 36. We're trying to be as open as we can about that. Yeah. And and we are pushing for change from within the pageant system. We encourage, we've talked to the international, and we encourage anybody who wants to see change in more inclusivity to also reach out to them, and you can contact them. The website is missmermaid.de. That's the German roots. And you can tell them, what mermaiding is all about in terms of inclusivity, because that's a great thing about our community. And we do want to bring more of that into the pageant world. Yeah. So we don't have any other restrictions other than just that. So we don't care if you're married, we don't care if you have kids, and there's no body weight restrictions, height restrictions. Our Miss Mermaid USA last year was Adrienne, and she's 5'3", and she was amazing. She got second runner up at the pageant in 2019. So, it's actually really inclusive in terms of pageantry, and we'd like to even push that even more.
And let's talk about specifically, I am wondering about the gender, like the sexualities, if we have some transition to mermaids, are they still eligible? How are y'all dealing with that?
Yeah, so we don't ask any questions about that. Our Miss Mermaid USA is open to all women. Cool. We're not going to ask a birth certificate or anything like that. Cool. We do need to just say, though, that the international pageant is coming from a more conservative standpoint. Okay. So again, we're trying to, and this is something the USA does in the international world, but it really does push for more openness and more inclusivity and more human rights. And that is the USA's role in a lot of these international communities. Yeah. So the pageant takes place in some places like Egypt or potentially Saudi Arabia, and these are more conservative countries we're dealing with. But that's why we're bringing our inclusive message out and pushing that into the world.
Good.
Love that.
Yeah, and y'all can't do it on your own. So if you have an opinion, you need to go to the website and you need to let them know, because that's how change happens.
And we'll link all that info in the description.
Yeah. I was talking to our camera, so I mean our pod out there, not you guys. You're doing it.
Everyone listening,
y'all out there, you want to see change? Go talk to the people in charge.
That's right.
And don't stop.
The more voices they hear, the more they'll realize that this is really an important thing.
Yeah. Exactly. That'll, it's one of the reasons that Lauren and I wanted to take on this pageant, was to be able to hopefully make a difference and, bring something positive to as many people as we can. So help us.
We're all in this together. Once we know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I did kind of poll the interwebs, asking people to send us questions that they had about the pageant. You've answered a lot of them already, but one question a lot of people had was about the tails. It's been mentioned a few times that y'all are providing tails for the competition part. Can people use their own tails? Where are y'all on all that?
Yeah, so we will be providing tails and monofins for the long distance swim part, because it's important to us that everything's on an equal playing field, so if someone had a different monofin, they might be a little faster. We just want to make that very even.
Which monofin will y'all be providing?
So the international pageant is sponsored by Magic Tails. the founder of Magic Tales combined with the founder of International, and they came with this.
Okay.
That's how this Miss Mermaid thing started. And so they'll be using Mahina merfins and the Magic Tail skins. And then for the posing part, then that you can use your own tail if you want, if you feel more comfortable in that.
Awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
Okay,
And this is, just to be clear, the live pageant is for the top 25 finalists.
Okay.
So our application process works so that you apply online and you send in photos, you answer questions about your pageant platform, about your mermaid mission, your underwater experience. And again, our pageant is inclusive to people who are new to the community. You don't even have to have a tail or have ever actually been a mermaid to be involved, because like Chelsea examples, like she's got a lot of water sport experience. You want to tell us about that, Chelsea?
Yeah. So yeah, one of our goals is to bring people to the world of mermaiding, new people. And I'm just, as Lauren said, one of those examples where I didn't know anything about mermaids and mermaiding, even though I was heavily interested in water sports. So when I found out about it, I was like, this is right up my alley. And, and I did have some of the modeling experience as well. So that was part of how I ended up finding out about the competition. But going there, it was just such a fabulous experience getting to open my eyes to that. So want to be able to bring as many new people to the world of this as we can. And it's great that it's accessible to all. You can go there with no experience and you don't feel embarrassed or anything like that. It's everyone's trying to help each other, and there's a lot of newcomers that get involved. So it's just bringing more love to the already wonderful mermaid community that I've found out about and discovered through all of this.
Well, and I do want to encourage y'all. I know that whenever it was announced that Mermagicon was hosting y'all, I think a lot of people were super excited, but you always have those what's a good word for barnacles,
just sea urchins.
Those guys that just want to, poke and prod and hurt your spirit a little bit. But I just want to encourage y'all that I really believe that this is a great thing for the community, and it is hard as a newcomer to really feel like you're a true mermaid or whatever it is, because there's a bunch of stereotypes like, oh, you have to have a silicone tail and you have to have long hair and stuff to be a mermaid, but it's just not true. And if you are a mermaid, if that's what you want to do, you can do it. And
I have, every time I meet women and tell them I'm a mermaid, I'm like, they're always like, I'm a mermaid too. I've always known, and I'm like, great, you can actually come be a mermaid now. Like, I'll show you how to do it. Like, but it's like, I haven't met a woman who isn't a mermaid somehow.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I haven't, it just hasn't happened.
The funny thing about the mermaid community, like Chelsea, your story is so familiar because our friend right back here, Felicia with Fins, the first time she was ever in a mermaid tail was for her audition for Circus Siren Pods. First time ever in a tail at all. Yeah. So this community is not unused to that, where people are just like, I think I'll give this a whirl. And then bam, they go to international competitions or that's good.
I was only a mermaid for 1 year before I went in, and I ended up winning the award for underwater posing. And, it's just so cool to like learn your strengths, for the first time in such a supportive community.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another great thing to realize is like, when somebody wins a title, a state title, or whatever mermaid title you might get, and we're not, if you're a more experienced mermaid, it's not like this mermaid is the queen of the world, so like get out of town. Like, doesn't mean you're better. This just gives newer mermaids kind of the confidence and an introduction to this mermaid world, and to be able to meet other mermaids who have even more experience and learn more from them. So I hope people don't look at it and feel like, wow, that person like doesn't deserve that or something like that, because it's not supposed to be some ego boost, in the sense that it makes you better than anybody else. It's just something that's supposed to be fun.
We have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about the mermaid community. It really is like, that's why we're all doing it, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely not my full-time job. So,
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and even when they first started international, they did have a rule saying no professional mermaids because they wanted this to be accessible. And that rule is proven to be very flexible because, there's some mermaids that just do 1 or 2 gigs a year or something, or do volunteer work. And then there's mermaids where it's their full-time everything. So this is really for mermaids who are sort of more in the beginning or the middle of their careers and really looking for the next boost. And, and in the end, really having a sash and having a crown, it's about getting your message out. And our message is really about saving the oceans. That's what we're all about. This is our, what drives what we do. Because Chelsea and I, we're just doing this, this has been a big volunteer thing. And we hope that eventually we can create this into a nonprofit. For now, all of our proceeds go to the winner's nonprofit of choice. So, you're competing for the chance to like help your cause. And
so what are some of the charities that have been donated to?
So Adrian's charity, she chose, because she's our 2019 Miss Mermaid USA, and she's from Hawaii, and she chose the Surfrider Oahu chapter as her charity of choice. So, and we have a lot of exciting Hawaii mermaid stuff happening. So it's really cool to be able to, like, I've been moving there too. So it's nice to really support the local communities. And we do encourage mermaids that when they are submitting their application and thinking of which nonprofit they want to do, it's not all about the biggest names, or, it's like, what can you do in your community? That's what your local state sash is, so that you can have a voice in your state. And, so mermaids are eligible to apply for states that they live in. The first year we had more flexibility because we didn't have as many applicants. So we were, allowing mermaids who had lived in another state at one point to apply for that. But this year it's just really more focused about what's your local community and what you can bring to it.
So let's talk about when you do win, what kind of responsibilities do you have, let's say for Miss Mermaid Tennessee and Miss Mermaid USA? What kind of responsibilities come along with that title?
So all throughout our application process, there's questions about like your platform. What's your pageant platform? What is your specific cause that you are going to be focusing your energies towards? And that actually, so that's in the initial application. And then, like I said, the top, the 52 states are chosen out of all of those on a point system. And then the top 25 go to the Mermagicon finals. And then after that, we have the swim competitions. And from the 2 swim competitions, the top 10 will go on to the final round, which that final round is pageantry. You'll be dressed up and doing it, but it's all really about the interview. So that is the final deciding thing, is like, how are you going to push, why do you deserve this title? Yeah. What is it that you are going to bring, and how can we help, maximize what you're going to bring out into your community?
Yeah.
So then, we'd like to see our queens doing all sorts of volunteer work and doing interviews and just speaking their message, and also being a role model for young women too.
Love it.
Nice.
What criteria goes into, so y'all are choosing the top 25, right? So to go to Mermagicon. So what are you basing that off of? How do you choose out of so many mermazing women?
So the online application is designed to be similar to what we're going to be judging for it live, but we have to do that in an online format. So you submit photos, and like I said, you don't have to submit mermaid tail photos if you don't have those. There's modeling photos. You can submit anything showing athleticism or dance or yoga or anything that shows your fitness or your swim abilities. And then there's short answers, long answers to some questions that we have about your experiences. That have you been involved in like any water sports growing up, to try to judge, how we need people who can swim,
Yes.
And
That's very important.
And then let's see. Yeah. So, we do our, and there is an interview video in the application as well. So just, you take a 1-minute selfie video talking about your cause. And so we just want to see your personality. Yeah. Oh, and creativity photos as well, showing any artistic talents that you have, because that's part of the finals as well.
Cool. Really fun.
That is fun. So is it open to just the 50 states or territories too?
So we also have Puerto Rico involved, and we're considering DC as its own state as well.
Yay!
Good. We have a few mermaids.
There's so many mermaids in DC.
Yeah.
It's not easy to judge. There's so many wonderful people. It's like you feel it's such a tough job to have. Not to be tough life we have, but yeah, we want to give everybody, a title and have everybody come and be involved. So it's definitely challenging, but we do like Lauren has been saying, really focusing on the conservation aspect the most.
Nice.
So, on every Everyday Mermaid podcast, we do have to take a moment. More so a hashtag Jody moment.
Yes. Perfect.
And for those who are just listening for the first time and y'all are like, what is going on? The hashtag Jody moment is our moment in the podcast where we celebrate Jody Benson, the voice of The Little Mermaid, who we love so much. And it's just like,
and who thinks we are off our rockers.
Who thinks we've lost our mind. She knows of us. We want her on the show. She has yet to respond.
One day our Jody will come. It'll be fun.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So we do have a moment celebrating not only Jody, but just the whole Little Mermaid vibe, because so many of us have been so inspired by the Little Mermaid, by Ariel, by her voice. And so we ask you, ladies, do you have a Jody moment?
I believe I do, actually. So, like I'm sure many of us, The Little Mermaid has always been, my favorite movie, especially as a child. And I had a very special connection with my aunt and godmother. Her name was Jamie Ross, and she watched me a lot growing up. And every single day I made her play Little Mermaid over and over and over. So we watched it all the time. It was just like our lifetime bond. It was just our thing, Little Mermaid. And I'm bringing this moment up because it does relate back to Miss Mermaid International. The first time I went to Miss Mermaid International coincided with when she got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and it was really heart-wrenching. But in her last bit of time to enjoy everything on this earth, she got a lot of joy out of my stories from Miss Mermaid International, and we had a lot of banter messaging back and forth on Facebook when I was over there. And after she passed, I actually had Philo Barnhart do a drawing for me to kind of represent her. Can I show it? I have
Yes, please.
I keep forgetting if we're like on video or if this is just audio. So anyways, my aunt is my guardian angel mermaid. This is mermaids that also have guardian angels, and that's her hugging me, sitting next to Ariel. So this is my little mermaid, memento that I just am obsessed with. And it means a lot to me. And the whole Miss Mermaid experience was more memorable and like emotional just because of what I went through during that time. And I think it made me more connected to the mermaid community after, because I felt like it all happened for a reason. I was like, this is Jamie's way of like living on through me and just letting me know.
She got to see you become a real mermaid before you left.
Well, and in the original Hans Christian Andersen story, the Little Mermaid, when she throws herself in the ocean, she becomes an angel because she sacrifices herself instead of doing bad things, and she becomes like a guardian angel. So that's perfect.
Yeah, that's really special. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity to remember that and just give a shout out to her.
Yes, so sweet. Well, as we wrap up here, in the event, we have to ask because, COVID, which we now have named Devlin because we just don't even want to say the word. Devlin has ruined it all for us.
Well, the scale rut. You don't want to get the scale rut.
But in the event that, the competition, MerMagicCon in general, can't happen at all, do you have a plan for that for the applicants? Have you kind of thought that through yet?
Well, we're going with, MerMagicCon has a really great contingency plan where they worked it out so that the venue is very flexible. If they have to postpone, they can move the dates back. They can move on. The hotels also are willing to be flexible with people's rooms reservations. Yeah. They really got a great plan in place. And the thing is, you can't plan something this big. You can't just sit around and wait for the government rules to change and then plan this event. Right. You kind of have to plan ahead with, optimistically hoping that by then things might be more calmed down and more safe. Of course, we don't want to put anyone at risk. Yeah. But, if we need to postpone, we can postpone. And, the international dates aren't fully set in stone yet too. So if international stuff, there might be other restrictions around travel depending on where countries people are coming from. So that's also flexible, and we're just going with the flow. But of course, we're not going to do anything before it's deemed safe.
Yeah.
But we're really looking forward to having a live event. That's just going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited. Lauren and I wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah.
So my last question for y'all before we wrap up is, what is your hope, final thoughts on what is your goal for the pageant, for the mermaid community specifically? What are you hoping to achieve with Miss Mermaid USA?
I mean, the Miss Mermaid motto is save the oceans. And what's so special about this is it's not just us, it's the whole international mermaid community gets together. And this is the most, it's just such a cool thing to be in a pool with mermaids from 20 different countries. And, we're talking about fun mermaid stuff, but we're also really focused on how can we all come together to really save this planet? Because as mermaids, we all know the dire state of our oceans and we're fighting for that.
Yeah, that is amazing.
And just on an international worldwide scale, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, there's never been anything like this. It's incredible to me how big the community has grown. The fact that we have an international mermaid community is the coolest thing ever to me.
Yeah, it's so great to meet and swim with these girls that from all different countries. It's just
one common bond. I love it.
Perfect.
Yes. So thank y'all so much for joining us on the Everyday Mermaid podcast. To let our listeners in, if you want to win the Circus Siren Pod calendar, friends, you gotta swim on over to the Instagram. It's a Everyday Mermaid podcast is our Instagram, and we will be there will be a post on our Instagram that'll give you all the details on how to enter into the competition. Where can people follow you on social media?
You can find us on Instagram or Facebook at Miss Mermaid USA.
But the Instagram is at missmermaid.usa.
Oh, that's true.
Clear. Yeah.
I forgot we had to make the dot.
Okay, great.
And our website is missmermaidusa.org, which is where you can check out the application.
Perfect. And you can follow us at Everyday Mermaid Podcast on Instagram or patreon.com/Everyday Mermaid, where we share things that we just don't share with anybody else over there. Whoa. Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for being on the show, and we will
see you on the flip side.
Bye, mermaid.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Best fishes,
really
everybody.